All right. Just wanted to throw a little video out there now that the dust has settled on what was a disgusting loss for the Giants against the Broncos, who, of course, were like, hey, we're going to keep talking trash, especially Benito, who was invisible for the whole game. So I wanted to win this game. You got to quiet these people. I mean, like I said, the Broncos are frauds. They're not going anywhere. But a couple of thoughts I had. You know, everybody wants the defensive coordinator fired for what he did in the fourth quarter. He let up 33 points, and I get that. That's ridiculous. But, the Giants are always all or nothing. The previous 5 quarters, the 2 quarters in the second half of the Eagles game and the 3 quarters here, let up no points. And then all of a sudden you let up 33 in the fourth quarter of the Broncos game. And it can't all be just scheme. Oh, and they totally forgot how to coach defense, and the Broncos made these miraculous adjustments that were like just beating the Giants. Okay, here's what I think happened. First and foremost, Dart throws that interception, and that's big because that turns the momentum from the Broncos thinking maybe we have a slim chance to kind of pull this one out to, oh, we can do this now. So that really opened the door to them believing that they can do this. Now, I'm not necessarily against the play call because here's why. Let's be honest. All of us here who have watched the Giants for many years, you can feel a loss coming. And at that juncture, you kind of feel like no matter what the Giants did, they were going to lose, right? Because if they decide to run it there, they probably don't get the first down because Denver was selling out to stop the run. Now, you make them use their last timeout, great. You punt it to them. Now there's about 4 minutes and 50 seconds left on the clock. I guarantee you, first and foremost, there's like a 50-50 shot that punt returner is going to return the punt for a touchdown. Like we haven't seen that before 100 times. And if that's the case, you'd be saying, why weren't you aggressive and try to win the game by getting a first down? You just run it 3 times into the, right? So we'd be having that conversation. I could also totally see the Broncos getting the ball with no timeouts and 4:50 on the clock, easily going down the field in a minute and scoring a touchdown. Okay, and using the sideline maybe to stop the clock, easily. So now it's what? There'd be 3:50 left on the clock, and the Giants would be getting the ball, and they'd probably go 3 and out trying to run the clock down. And then the Broncos would be getting the ball with probably over a minute left, and all they have to do is get a field goal to tie and a touchdown to win. So the same scenario could have potentially happened even if you run the ball and make them use that last timeout. Okay? And the reason why I think this scenario was likely, and people go, oh, they threw 33 points. Here's what I think it was. And I don't know if this was part of the Broncos' plan, but if it was genius. Those players, Benito and I can't remember the other guy. Oh, Cooper, I think, the linebacker, was saying some things about Dart. Oh, he wears a chain. He's feeling himself. And then Benito, was saying the Giants fan base is delusional. And then he deleted the tweet. But, the Giants, I'm sure, saw it. And that fired up that defense for the Giants. And they came out. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Giants defense play like that? Even in the Eagles game where they shut the Eagles out in the second half, but a lot, some of that was the Eagles, right? They missed a wide open Devontae Smith. They stopped running it with Barkley, even though he was pretty successful, in the beginning of the game, and they just looked out of sync. And that's not to take away credit from the Giants; they did what they had to do, but it wasn't a completely dominant defensive performance. There was some help by the Eagles, kind of miscues on offense that helped that. So then you get to the Broncos game. They were playing those first 3 quarters. That was like high end, some of the best defense. That was like 2007 beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl defense. Okay? And what I think happened was the Giants came out, that defense, 110%. We are fired up and we're going to, pummel these guys into the ground. Right? What happened is, at the end of the game, particularly around the fourth quarter, middle of the fourth quarter, they got gassed. I kind of equated to like running a mile. You come out and you're sprinting full speed, the beginning of that mile, you get a huge lead, and you're like, oh, I'm going to win this race easy. And then the last quarter mile, it's like you can't even walk. You got to like sit down, and because you can't sprint for that long, and then everybody passes you, and you end up losing the race because you can't win like that. You have to win by pacing yourself on a consistent level that you can sustain. You can't just come out. Of course, if you come out sprinting in a mile race, you're going to get ahead of everybody because they're all pacing themselves. And I think that's what happened with the Giants. I think they were going 110% and they just burnt out at the end. Not to mention the injuries in the defense to Adebo and Holland, which then made second stringers have to come in. That opened the field up a lot more. But I think because you saw it too, heading into that fourth quarter, that drive where they got the 8 points. But that drive, they really had no pass rush. I mean, they were rushing, but they weren't getting to him like they were in the beginning. They were getting gassed because they were expending so much energy in the beginning of the game. And I think if the Broncos purposely put those tweet stuff out to fire up the Giants defense to make them burn out like that kudos to them. That's a genius move. But yeah, the Giants defense got gassed. All that to say, I understand it's a professional team. Okay, fine. You let up all those points. The Giants come down and score again. I mean, you can't stop a team with 30 seconds left on the clock, basically. I get that. But even on the final play, okay, or the second to last play, when they got the big chunk, like the 40-yard or 35-yard pass, the Broncos, we got the big pass. I don't even think that's who he was throwing to, right? I think if you look at the play, I'm pretty sure I think it's Sutton. Somebody's running like a post route in front. I think Nix was trying to hit Sutton on the post route and give him like a lead pass so that he could catch the ball and maybe get another 10 yards. And what happened was he overthrew him, and I think it was Mims or whoever happened to be behind the play there and was able to adjust and catch the ball. Because if you look, Mims kind of catches the ball while he's going down to his knees, and there's 2 Giants defenders on each of his shoulders, one of which is Phillips, and he should have made a play on that. His hand was right there, fine, but he has coverage problems sometimes. He didn't make the play. But I highly doubt Nix went, oh, that guy who basically ran like a comeback route 40 yards down the field and has 2 Giants near him, that's the guy I'm going to throw to. No, he was probably trying to throw to that post route where the defender was trailing him, hit him in stride so he can run up the field, but he overthrew him, and it just happened to get lucky that Mims was there and made the adjustment, made the catch, and the 2 Giants defenders touched him down. And then the other play was just gravy. But honestly, we could have lost right there because that was a 57-yard field goal. He's making that. It's mile high. The ball travels further. Anyway, he's making that. Only we have a kicker that can't make any kicks. Every other team has an amazing kicker. So I think that is what happened. Now look, Dart's interception set the momentum in motion that made the Broncos believe, hey, we can really do this, and I'm sure that helped a lot too. But I think the defense just ran out of juice. It's like sprinting that mile. Just ran out of juice at the end. And I think that's what happened. And again, the fact the Giants are even in this game is a huge step up because this would be a game that they get blown away in. And to be able to not only hang with them, but they were basically dominating this game when they were playing at their absolute best shows a lot. Now, of course, they couldn't sustain it for the full 60 minutes, and the game is 60 minutes, so a loss is a loss. But we can all agree at 2-5, this Giants team is more fun than it's been in a long time. And hopefully that continues. Now, are we going to see, a regression of the offense at some point? Probably. It could even come this week, coming off this bad loss, coming off the way that Dart felt bad about the interception and, and seeing what happened with the defense at the end. He could come out and force stuff because now he thinks not only do I have to be the whole offense because we have no receivers and everything, but now I got to try to go out and score 45 points to make sure our defense has plenty of cushion, in case things start to collapse in the fourth quarter. And when you start pressing and pushing, forcing things, bad things happen. So I can see him throwing a couple of picks because he's trying to force a ball into the middle of the field where a guy's not open. And honestly, some of these big plays, the best thing for the Giants would probably be keep possession of the ball. Let the defense stay on the sidelines and rest. Keep Philadelphia's offense off the field. But I can see a scenario where Dart is pressing and forcing stuff, and that could cause turnovers. I could also see like the Eagles are getting healthier. Jalen Carter will be back, and we are getting more unhealthy because we might get Slayton back, but we might be down to Debo and Holland, and we're already thin at defensive back, so that's going to be a huge problem. Burns is banged up, so he probably will play, but he's probably not going to be 100%. So you're probably not going to get any sacks. Now that might be a time then for Carter to step up, get some sacks. Who knows? I'm not saying this will happen, but there's the opportunity there where the offense starts pressing, you know, kind of like how it looked at the end of the Broncos game where Dart basically just threw 3 balls down the field hoping to get a penalty or hoping a guy makes a play, and he almost got picked off twice. The only reason he didn't is because the Broncos guys were like fighting over who should get the interception. I could definitely see plays like that happening in the Eagles game, but earlier on, like in the second quarter, and we might not get so lucky where they drop the interceptions. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. It's still way more fun, and I had said at the beginning, I just want to see the Giants be competitive. I said at the beginning of the year, they're not going anywhere. Even if they beat the Broncos, even if they beat the Eagles, they beat both of them, and we're 4-4. Yes, it would be great to be 4-4. Yes, it would be great to be out of the NFC East basement, but to think we're gonna make the playoffs and do anything of note in the playoffs is ridiculous. So the last point I want to touch on is Daboll and the whole coaching staff. As far as Daboll goes, I think if Dart stays healthy and plays 500 football, Daboll's back, or pretty close. So if he goes 7-7 in his 14 starts, or 6-8, or of course 8-6, Daboll's back, and they'll blame it on bad defensive coordinator, bad assistant coaches, whatever you want to call it, and they'll try to retool and do that. If Dart plays like let's say he doesn't get another win, so he goes 2-12, or maybe he gets one more win and goes 3-11. I think Daboll might be gone, especially if in those losses Dart looks like he's regressed and he's making more bad decisions, taking sacks, getting turnovers. Daboll will be gone. The thing that complicates it, and I'm scared to even mention this, but I feel like it will probably happen because the Giants always have to have a complicated thing, is Dart will get another win or two. So let's say he'll be like maybe 4-3 or 3-2, something like that, and then he'll get injured and he'll be out for a significant amount of time, maybe the rest of the season. And now you have a weird decision to make because now it's like, well, the team didn't win anymore after Dart went out. So maybe we should get rid of Daboll because he obviously doesn't know how to coach, right? Like he might know how to coach this one kid, but he's the head coach. He's got to know how to coach the whole team, and it doesn't look like he knows how to do that. So we're going to get rid of him. But on the other hand, you could say, but he did do good with this kid. I mean, they had a winning record with this kid in. So do we just get rid of Daboll then and make this kid start over with someone else, right? So without seeing the complete year with Dart, it makes the decision more complicated because now you have to run on, like, let's just say Dart plays, like I said, and goes 8-6. We're like, hey, we got our guy. He obviously has chemistry with the coach. If we start him from the beginning of the season next year, we probably have a good chance to, have a winning record and maybe make a wild card or something in the playoffs. But if he doesn't complete his rookie campaign, so let's say he goes 4-3 and then he gets injured, so he misses 7 starts to finish the game. Now you have to extrapolate because now you don't know, well, would he have won those other 7 starts? Would he have lost all those 7 starts? Would he have split? You don't know. And now it makes it harder to decide what are you going to do with the coach. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out. It's definitely been a lot more fun to watch these games. They're a lot more unpredictable, and we've been competing with all the teams. And I know that's not what a lot of Giants fans want to hear. They want wins. There's no moral victories, but it is a big step up from the putrid offenses we've been watching for the last couple of years with the Giants and going into games knowing like, oh, here comes the Eagles game. Well, we're going to get blown away in this game, right? Up here comes the 49ers. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of interceptions. And right here, that could happen. You could go into the 49ers game, get a lot of interceptions, lose the game. But you could also have some of that magic that we've seen and pull out a victory. And that makes this year a lot more fun. And maybe that's what we should be focusing on, having more entertaining, fun games and developing Dart and not worry so much about the record because it's going to be what it's going to be. And I think this was it's kind of a lost year because, did we really think we were going anywhere with Russell Wilson? And then you figure, okay, Russell Wilson doesn't play that great. We got to bring Dart in halfway through the year, and then he's a rookie. So did we really think we were right? So being fun and competitive in all these games is about as good as you could hope for. And yeah, maybe we'll steal some wins, and we won't be as putrid this year. Maybe we'll be 6-11 or something like that, or 7-10. And again, a big step up from last year. So we'll see.